Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some more massive news for our Michigan Wolverines coming out of the 2025 recruiting trail as four-star edge rusher Julius Holly committing to Michigan. I think there's two things that you want to note right off the bat. One, this Michigan program just went into the heart of SEC territory and landed an edge rusher that was a coveted target by multiple SEC programs. You take a look at the offer list, the official visits Julius Holly took: Texas A&M, the University of Georgia, Michigan going down to the state of Georgia, massive recruiting battle victory. And I think secondly, Lou Esposito on the defensive line. He's been absolutely crushing it. And I think the big conversation we had when Lou Esposito took the job at Michigan on the defensive line was, hey, we know Lou Esposito is an elite player developer. His track record in terms of player development is extraordinary. I think the big question we had was, can he recruit at the level that's kind of demanded for this Michigan program? You look at what he's done over the last couple of months, guys like Jalen Williams, Nathaniel Marshall, now Julius Holly. Lou Esposito is quickly answering a lot of our questions in terms of what he can do on the recruiting trail. And you look at Julius Holly and you just say, traits. This is a guy with a 79.5-inch wingspan, 9.8-inch hands. He's got long arms. He's got big hands. And he's not necessarily the most polished football player yet, which I think as a Michigan fan myself personally excites me, because what does Julius Holly look like when he kind of develops some of those pass rush moves that you kind of start developing when you get into college? This is a guy that wins kind of primarily with his get off the line of scrimmage and the power he has in his hands. Once this kid kind of learns how to play football at a higher level, I think the sky's the limit for someone like Julius Holly. A massive commitment for this Michigan program, fired up to get into the film. Before we do, and as always, massive shout out to the Michigan fans. Many of you guys know I'm a Michigan fan, and it has been just an absolute blast to talk this program on the recruiting trail the last couple of weeks. The support from the Michigan fans has been absolutely amazing. All the Go Blues in the comment section. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Julius Holly. Now, you dive into the film and say, again, he's a raw prospect. He's a guy that you can clearly see all the traits that he has, but he's not necessarily the most polished football player yet. I think the second thing to note, this kid's motor is at such a high level. And you look at former Michigan edge rushers and some of the guys that had some of the highest motors, Aiden Hutchinson, a guy like Jalen Harrell. I mean, we've had success with these kind of edge rushers that just play extremely hard. Julius Holly is one of those guys. I think this is an edge rusher that has an extremely high ceiling and also fits exactly what Michigan wants to do, because you look at the athleticism that he has and you look at how Michigan treats our edge rushers. We'll drop our edge rushers into coverage, and some of those shallow zone coverages, ask them to operate in space. That's probably Julius Holly's best asset that he brings right now, is his ability to operate in space and be an athlete. Again, it kind of goes back to what we said. This is a really good football player with some high upside traits, but I think most importantly, fits what Michigan wants to do on the defensive side of the football. You get into the film, and again, the film is really fun to watch. One, the get off the line of scrimmage, it's big time. You see him kind of playing this wide nine right here. I mean, his get off is next level. This right tackle doesn't even get a hand on Julius Holly. You see him just beating this tackle off the ball, attacking that outside shoulder, running that arc, going out, making a play on the quarterback. I mean, Julius Holly's get off, that's probably what excites you the most. Now, this second rep right here, we're going to see some big time power in the hands. This is a guy that has big hands. He's got long arms, and he's got really physical hands. I think you got to teach him how to use that a little bit more consistently. You fire up the film here, he's going to shock this right tackle with the power in his hands, and then he's going to operate in space. And this is becoming right here a much more important asset for edge rushers than it was 10 years ago. You look at all the athletic quarterbacks that we're seeing, not only at the collegiate level, but at the NFL level. In quarterbacks' abilities to extend plays, you need edge rushers that can go chase down these quarterbacks and operate in space. Julius Holly, certainly one of those guys. So you take a look back at that piece of film and say, one, big time power in the hands, using that length, and then, hey, we're going to go operate in space and go grab this quarterback. I think Julius Holly checks a lot of boxes from the athletic profile standpoint. And I think for Michigan fans, you have to be fired up about what you're getting in an edge rusher in Julius Holly. Again, big time motor, right? Doesn't necessarily win right off the bat here. Still, I mean, you see on the film, like we're still developing some of those pass rush moves. Not necessarily the most polished edge rusher yet, which again excites Michigan fans. And you see the athleticism that he has in space, hawking down the quarterback. That is such an important aspect in today's game of college football. Julius Holly can do it. And you see that functional athleticism in space when we're going to ask Julius Holly to drop back in shallow zone coverages. Can he get it done? He's certainly a guy. You see the motor here, just chasing down backside. This is a tenacious player, does not give up on plays. A rollout to his opposite side, he doesn't give up on the play. You love to see that, especially at the high school level, where you talk about some of these stars at the high school ranks, not necessarily the highest motors. Julius Holly certainly has that kind of motor. And again, not giving up on plays, continuing to just hawk quarterbacks. I am a really big fan of Julius Holly, and I'm a really big fan of what Michigan's doing in this 2025 class, specifically on the defensive line. You'll add Nathaniel Marshall and Jalen Williams, who I think are going to be really good three techs for this Michigan program. Now I think we focused on filling it up at the edge rusher position. You start looking at this defensive line, Bobby Kanka, Jalen Williams, Nathan Marshall. We feel good about what the inside of this defensive line is looking like. Now we're going to fill it up with some of these edge rushers. Julius Holly kind of kicking it off for this Michigan program. Fired up. Another one. I think we got a couple more commitments to talk about over the next couple of days. We'll obviously keep you guys updated. Appreciate y'all rocking with it. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.